The Rhine is one of Europe's most important waterways. There are 32 port towns along its banks. Most of the harbors were created in the Middle Ages. Düsseldorf was a latecomer. Not until 1896, with industrialization, was a large harbor created here as well. 100 years later, it's no longer profitable. The city has been looking for new ways to use it. It's reduced the size of the harbor and redesigned part of it. Where goods were once loaded and unloaded, media companies, fashion labels, restaurants, hotels, and offices have moved in. The media port, with its architectural mix, is now one of Düsseldorf's tourist attractions. The building, designed by Canadian architect Frank Gehry, is a real eye-catcher. The best view of it is from the water. Tour boats make their way to the media port several times a day. The broad meadows with their recessed dikes are typical of the Lower Rhine countryside. When the river floods, they serve as drainage basins. The rest of the time, the residents use them for recreation. Nowadays, it's even possible to swim in the Rhine. Locals joke that the water used to be so polluted, you could develop film in it. We move on toward Duisburg. Where the Ruhr flows into the Rhine, a red landmark signals that we're in the Ruhrort district of Duisburg. Ruhrort is Duisburg's port, the largest on the Rhine and the biggest inland port in Europe. More than 20,000 ships a year are processed here. Rolf Köppen regularly makes his rounds here. He's a photographer who's been documenting the harbor area for many years. He captures its changes and its special features, like some very special graffiti.
Shallow-hulled ships from almost all over the world come here, from all the countries on the Baltic and the North Sea. Almost every nation sends its ships here. It's a place where steel is loaded and unloaded. The international crews are really proud to be here and paint the names of their ships on the quay wall. Then comes the next ship and the name is painted over. It makes for some very interesting patterns.
A corner of the old port has been set aside for cultural activities. Here too, there's a mixture of modern architecture and historically listed industrial buildings. They're used for different purposes now. The MKM, the Kuppersmüller Museum, is just one example. It presents modern art in an old granary. We continue downriver. After a good 50 kilometers, we reach Emmerich. The river is about 400 meters wide here. Just before the border to the Netherlands, a suspension bridge between Emmerich and Cleves spans the Rhine, the longest one of its kind in Germany. And this is one of the best ways to see the Rhine. You can hire bicycles everywhere here.
There are more than 40 cycling stations in the Lower Rhine region at tourist information centers and hotels, and 1,000 bicycles. You can rent a bike at one station and return it at another, so you can cover much more area. It's very convenient for cyclists.
The bicycle route covers some 2,000 kilometers in the region between Cologne and Emmerich and on into the Netherlands. And as you near the border, the countryside becomes flatter and the Rhine meadows even broader. For us, Emmerich is the final stop today, But the Rhine still has a way to go until it reaches the open waters of the North Sea.